Hello friends, I am Chevy. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope everything is good and great and wonderful. Yesterday I shared some code on my blog and before I lose anybody, this is not going to be a technical discussion. This is going to be a process discussion and not necessarily a programming process. So I don't want you to just think that I'm going to ramble on about tech stuff that's confusing. What I shared yesterday was a very rough first draft of a program that generates randomized items. In this case, random fantasy, like swords and stuff. And it's a rough first draft because it was built on the fly while I was mapping out how I was going to do it at the same time, because I didn't outline or structure this program in any way, shape, or form. So it's kind of just like riffing. I was kind of just making it up as I went along. And so because of that, there's a whole lot of like, if you know anything about programming at all and you go look at that code, you'll go, oh, why, what? And even I look at it and go, ooh, why, what? You know? Because it's bad. It's really bad. And it can be fixed. But it works and I'm lazy. And it's... the thing that's baffling about all of that to me is so much of the rest of my life I get hung up on detail. I get hung up on trying to make things work the way that I see it in my head, or I try to, you know, even writing the articles for the website, I spend a whole lot of time writing those articles because I want to make sure that the language that I'm using is okay, my sentence structure is okay, I'm not mixing tenses. You know, I spend a lot of time on the details. Whereas for me, writing software is making something do X. So I want to make a weapon, a fantasy sword, hit a button and that should happen. And how that happens, I don't give a damn. Like, it means nothing to me. And I think that's pretty evident if you go look at what I shared yesterday. But that's also part of the reason why I shared it, because it is an embarrassment, and because sometimes being embarrassed is not a problem. It's a learning opportunity. And when it comes to software, I'm entirely self-educated. I've not taken any software classes. I don't have a software degree. I'm entirely self-taught. When I took this job a couple of years ago, I was really hoping to be mentored, you know, with some other developers that had experience, but the way we really truthfully work is completely siloed, and I'm just left to my own devices to figure out how to do things. And that's not what I was hoping for. I was hoping to develop better software. So part of sharing the code yesterday was, one, here's how it works, and here's what I've done to get to this point, and, you know, two, if I go back and improve on that process in the future, I can show, like, this is where I was, this is where I am. And three, maybe somebody will come along and read it and go, hey, why don't you let me help you with that? And then they clean it up, or they give me ideas on how to clean it up. And I go, oh, that's a really good idea. I'll do it that way. You're much smarter than me. And so this all came to me because I was reading, you know, when I post an article, I email to a list. By the way, if you want to sign up for my newsletter, that'd be awesome. It's at my website. There should be a form that comes up after just sitting on the page for a while, or on the right-hand side, a little newsletter link, and you can sign up for my newsletter, and whenever I post an article, you'll get it. And I get my own newsletter. So I got yesterday's article today in my inbox, and I just read it and was like, this is bad, but I don't want to fix it. I have no desire to go back and fix it right now because I'm already moved on to the next portion of this program. And while it's tangentially similar, it's completely not. You know, the way that I go about doing things in the first part will influence the way that I do things in the second part, but they are very different things. And the fun part about it, the funny part, not the fun part, though, the odd part, it's not funny, it's odd. The odd part about it is, for me, looking at that code, I know it's bad, and I know I could fix it. I know I could make it way better and way more logical, whereas right now it's a very kind of bloated, and it's doing a whole lot it doesn't need to do, but whatever. But I don't care. And we've talked in the past about the 80-20 rule. You can get 80% of the enjoyment from 20% of the effort. And in the vast majority of my life, I get 80% of my enjoyment out of 100% of the effort. Like, I don't feel enjoyment unless I do it perfectly. But for some reason, writing this code, as long as the thing works and it's not breakable, that's what matters to me. How I achieve that means nothing. That's all just, we could argue about whether this way of writing software versus this way is better. I don't care. To me, it's just, do I hit the button and it does what I want it to do in a reasonable amount of time? Then who gives a damn? Like, it doesn't matter to me. And I don't know why I am that way. And it's the same with the art. When I was doing the art every day with Try Every Day, I didn't care about what it looked like. It didn't matter to me. And maybe software is an art form for me. I've been told that software development is an art, and I somewhat agree with that. It is a skill. You learn language as a skill. So when I say language, I mean the programming language. You learn how to write certain programming constructs. That's a skill. But learning how to turn all of that into an app kind of is art. It's kind of something that you need to intuitively understand how the machine works. You need to understand how processes work with or against each other. And you need to understand what tools that you can use to mold this application. And so maybe that's the reason. Maybe it's an art form for me. And what I really care about is when you go visit the website and you click on the button, what shows up there is what matters. How it shows up there means nothing, ultimately. And we could be, aggressive with our requirements to program in a certain way, but does that really make the program better? It makes it more maintainable, it makes it more flexible, makes it more modular, makes it more future-proof or whatever, sure. But I'm not writing an operating system. It's just a simple little, toy that if I want to rewrite how I do any portion of this, it's not going to be weeks and weeks of effort. It's, pretty quick to turn it around if I decide to do it some other way. Not a big deal. So I'm just going to keep going. I'm almost done with the next part, and considering it took me a month to get to part 1, part 2 is almost done in a couple hours, and then the next 2 should be even easier. And then, I'll have a full-fledged item generation engine for this game that I want to build. If I ever decide to build it. So there we go. I don't know what the point of this was. I guess it was to talk about the difference in why I treat this so cavalierly with how I just don't give a damn how the code works as long as it works, versus, Keely's headboard sitting here. It hasn't been finished because I had a problem with it and it's just eating me away. And I want to work on it. The film, I filmed it. I want to work on that, but it's bothering me. So I got to sort that out before I can continue. Why don't I get that way with software? I can just plow through it. I don't know. Guess maybe even that's a learned skill. Let me know what you think in the comments. Go read my blog. Sign up for my newsletter. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends, and wonderful people. I very much appreciate you. And I will see you tomorrow. Today's word you should know is avuncular. It is an adjective meaning kind, genial, benevolent, like an uncle. Myron's avuncular personality makes women think of him as a friend, not as a lover. Avuncular. A-V-U-N-C-U-L-A-R.